Hello everyone. Welcome to the Redesigning School Counseling webinar for Renewal schools. And the focus of this webinar is to update your vision. So this webinar is designed for schools using the Redesigning School Counseling or RSC process to renew their Ask a Ramp Award and or their Indiana Gold Star School Counseling Award. My name is Sue Reynolds. I'm president of the American Student Achievement Institute. We're located in Bloomington, Indiana, and we are a nonprofit that was founded by Indiana school counselors. Our mission is to raise student achievement and to close achievement gaps. Our goal is to increase the percentage of students who enter and succeed in post-secondary education, and our expertise is in vision-based, data-driven change in schools and in communities. So it's my pleasure to be presenting this webinar for you. Here's today's agenda. We'll be looking at a couple of updates, and then we'll do a quick review of RSC terminology, beliefs, and process. And then specifically this month, we'll be working on your revisioning. So we'll do an advisory council meeting walkthrough of the revision meeting. And then we'll also look at the submissions that will be coming in for this month and rubric items. And then finally, we'll look at the online system just to give you a reminder of how all that works. So we'll begin with updates. First of all, we just want to let you know that Indiana is still leading the nation in the number of RAMP schools from the award that's presented by the American School Counselor Association. So currently in Indiana, there are 125 RAMP schools. There are also an additional 60 schools that used RSC to qualify for Ask a Ramp, but they chose not to apply for the award, probably because there's a monetary payment that goes with the application. But if we add those 60 schools in, that's 185 schools that have been through the RSC process. So very, very pleased with that. That's almost 1 out of every 10 Indiana schools. So also wanted to let you know about some research that has been recently conducted by outside researchers from the University of Scranton and University of Connecticut. The question they were researching was, do sound school counseling programs impact student achievement? So they looked at Indiana schools that had received the RAMP award. All of them used the RSC process to receive that award. And then they also looked at a control group of non-Indiana RSC schools. The benchmark they were looking at is the percentage of students passing the state tests in both English and math. And the results were published in the American School Counselor Association Professional School Counseling Journal in 2013. And their finding was that Indiana RSC schools evidenced higher achievement at all grade levels in math and language arts. So very, very pleased to see that connection between RSC/Gold Star, Indiana Gold Star, and higher academic achievement. That makes sense to us because the whole process of RSC is designed to raise student achievement, but it's nice to have that data now that shows that that's what indeed happens. Also, since some of you went through RSC, now as a renewal school, we have a brand new RSC online system. So depending on when you actually receive the Indiana Gold Star Award or your RAMP Award, this system may be new to you. If so, you might find yourself throughout the year having to type in things that used to be on paper documents into the online system. But the nice thing is that once they're in the online system, they're there like forever. So you'll never have to type in things again. You'll just be editing things that are in the online system. If you were using the online system when we did this with your school before, you'll see that everything is still in there. So when you go to revise your vision statement, the vision statement will be there, and you'll just have to enter the revisions. Also want to let you know that we are national now with RSC. We have not done advertising, but just through word of mouth. We now have 187 schools outside of Indiana that are using RSC in 38 states. So we're very pleased with that. Very pleased that schools everywhere are able to use this resource at no cost. Also, there are now 17 colleges that are having their graduate students develop school counseling programs for mock schools using RSC. And there's 7 schools in Indiana, 7 universities in Indiana that are doing that. So we're real pleased with that. We know, we've heard from the graduates of these programs that when they go into their schools, they can hit the ground running. They immediately create a free RSC online system for the school where they're hired, and then use RSC to develop a school counseling program for that school. So we're really pleased with that. Also wanted to give you this update. This is brand new. We now have the ability through the generosity of DOE to provide a person to provide tech support for RSC. So in the past, we've not had this opportunity. If you're an Indiana school, you'll be seeing that in the next few weeks we'll be advertising for a person to fill this responsibility that we'll bring in as an outside consultant, an independent contractor, to provide these deliverables. And one of them is to provide tech support via the phone, so that you know that during this hour there's going to be somebody who's very familiar with RSC that can answer any questions that you have. You will also be submitting monthly submissions. And I'm going to pause here real quickly. I forgot to plug in my computer, and you're seeing that the low battery light just came on. I was always afraid this would happen. I finally did it. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Make sure that that's plugged in. Good. Okay, so I was talking about the support we have for RSC schools. Also this year, and this is brand new, we will be asking you to submit work as you do it. So this month you're working on your vision statement, and then when that's complete, we'll give you instructions on how to submit that to us. The person that we bring on will read your vision statement and provide you written feedback. So we're just in the process of setting this up, but I think that what we'll find is that the quality of work from schools is going to be much higher, because instead of waiting till the end of the school year and trying to catch up and everything, this is really going to keep you on track so that every month you're doing one step of the RSC process. We are reviewing it, we're giving you feedback, and then if you need to make revisions, you can do it right then when you're still thinking about that step, instead of trying to do everything at the end of the year. So that means that there will not be a submission of your entire portfolio to DOE next summer. Instead, you'll be submitting piece by piece of it to us to review as we go. And then as we review it, we'll provide, I think I mentioned, written feedback as well. So you'll always know, did this component meet the criteria, or did it need revision, or is it okay? And we'll put that to you in writing. So in the next few weeks, we'll send you an email about how to do that submission, and we'll get that all set up for you. Okay. Also, if you're interested in Indiana Professional Growth Points, just a reminder that in the manual, in the logistics section, there's a log there where you can start recording the time that you're spending on PGP, and then you'll submit that to us at the end of the school year, and we will award your PGPs. Okay, here's the calendar for the year. So you can see that this month we're working on visioning. And then there's the rest of our webinars as they're scheduled for, so September 1st, we'll be looking to update your goals and then your priority goals. Notice that for renewal schools, there's no webinar in January, there's no webinar in March, and no webinar in April. So if you're watching an archived version of this, you may want to pause the video and make a note of all of these times. If you haven't registered for all of these, I would do so right away. When you're registered, the GoToMeeting will send you reminder emails so that we can make sure that you're in attendance at all those webinars. We also have found that schools that attend the webinars live tend to have much better portfolios, and they have to redo fewer things because they're there asking questions as we explain things. So I really encourage you to participate in those webinars live. We do take attendance at them, so we kind of know who's engaged and what's happening. So okay, so I want to look at the process page real quickly and just kind of remind everybody where we are in the process. So I'm going to go to Demo School's website, and I'm logged in right now as a steering team member. And if I go over here and click on the process page, you can see that for a renewal school, in February, last February, you updated your leadership. In March, April, May, you collected data. You gave the Indiana Learn More survey or the RSC survey if you're outside of Indiana. You evaluated your progress in June. We did some self-studies in July. And now we're ready to have the first meeting with your advisory council. And the purpose of this meeting is to update your vision statement. So that's where we are. You've been completing these steps and checking them off. And so we're ready for step 1 of part 5 to update your vision statement. And that's what we will be talking about today. One other thing is when you open up the system, this Renewal tab is not highlighted. Just a reminder that you need to do that. We asked you to do that last spring, but here's how to switch it. Just go to RSC Uses and then click on Renewal if it's not showing the Renewal tab right now. And then when you go to the process page, that'll pull up the Renewal tab. Same thing when you go to the manual page. Okay, so that kind of brings us up to where we are. So let's look then at updating the vision. I want to do a little bit of reviewing first, and then we'll do a quick walkthrough of the presentation that you'll be doing with your advisory council. So first of all, just a little review, and since we haven't talked for several months, let's just review the terminology. 2 definitions of school counseling services. One service is guidance. We're defining guidance as the activities that enable all students to master the guidance standards and as a result make sound choices in areas that impact high achievement. So when school counselors are doing guidance activities, they're more in teaching mode where we're helping students to gain knowledge and skills that they need to make good choices in areas that impact achievement. So that's in teaching mode. Then in counseling, those activities are activities that help some students address personal or social issues that are interfering with learning. So again, counseling is not appropriate for all students. It's just for those students who have an issue that's interfering with learning, where guidance it refers to the knowledge and skills that all students need to make sound choices. Okay, and then 2 other definitions. These are 2 other services that school counselors provide. And in RSC, we call those advocacy. It's when counselors are doing activities that promote systemic change, that develop an environment that support high achievement for all students, or when counselors are promoting the needs of an individual student, like if a counselor were to attend an annual case conference on behalf of a student, they would be doing advocacy for that student. Okay, and then there's management. There's school counseling program management. These are activities that are usually behind-the-scenes activities that enable the school counseling program to run smoothly. So when I'm doing research, when I'm writing passes in the morning for students to come see me, when I'm developing a guidance lesson plan, when I'm doing professional development, those are all management activities. Here are common management activities. So basically they fall into 4 areas: program development, personal development, networking, and evaluation. So one other definition we want to make sure that we're clear on is what is a non-program activity. So school counselors are often called on to do activities that have nothing to do with guidance or counseling. So we define those activities as any activity that does not help students master the guidance standards or address a personal or social issue that's interfering with learning. So there's a lot of different activities that counselors do that don't do either one of those things. And we just want to make clear to everyone that when counselors are doing those things, they are non-program activities. They are not part of the school counseling program. Here are some common non-program activities. Often counselors are asked to be the administrator for different programs or procedures, to keep school records, to be like a registrar, to create the teacher schedule or the master schedule, to balance teacher course sizes, class sizes, and then odds and ends, being in charge of the award ceremony or graduation or discipline. So these are all things that have to happen in a school. They're not bad activities, but they're not school counseling activities. So just like they're not math activities and a math teacher wouldn't do them, they're not school counseling activities and are really not appropriate for a school counselor to do. If school counselors are doing those things, we just want to make it clear that that's not part of the school counseling program. Okay. So, going a little bit further in the review, in RSC, we believe that school counseling programs help students make sound choices in areas that impact academic success. So it's all about helping kids make good choices. This is just another way to say the same thing. We believe that when students are involved in sound guidance and counseling programs, school counseling programs, that they tend to make better choices, and because of that, achievement will go up. And so when we're designing the school counseling program, we start with academic achievement. We're pulling those achievement goals out of the school improvement plan. And then we're saying, okay, in order for students to reach those academic goals that we have for them, what choices do they have to make? Choices like turning in all their homework or asking for extra help or not punching somebody in the nose when they get mad or enrolling in rigorous courses. Kids have to make good choices in order to be able to achieve at a high level. And then finally we say, okay, in order to help kids make those choices, what guidance activities do we need to put in place so that students have the knowledge they need to make those choices? And what counseling activities do we need to put in place so that students overcome personal social issues that may be interfering with achievement? Okay, so in the design process that we did several years ago, I'll go through that process in a minute, but we do have some updates. The achievement goals, if you were involved in RSC, if the last time you did RSC was like 4 or 5 years ago, we had your advisory council come up with your achievement goals. But today we don't need to do that because all Indiana schools have, in almost all schools across the country, have achievement goals in their school improvement plan. So we're going to pull the achievement goals out of that. Also, in the student choice goals, we're going to break those this year into 2 different types of goals. There will be the student choices, and that all the choices that kids have to make in order to achieve at a high level. And when we define those, there's probably going to be 70 or 80 different choices that kids have to make while they're in your school in order to progress through school successfully. Then we're going to narrow that down into priority student choices. So we're going to say, okay, we've got these 70 or 80 choices that kids need to make, but what are the biggest choices that we want our school counseling program to focus on in the next year? And those will become your priority student choices. Then the other thing is that in the old system, we also wrote goals for guidance and goals for counseling. We're looking at that data a little differently this year. Once we know what your priority student choices are, then we're going to look at what we call root cause data. That data is actually the guidance and counseling data, but we're going to look at that data to say, okay, what's getting in the way of kids making these priority choices? If, for example, one of the choices we want kids to make is that they enroll in AP classes, and then we come down here and look at the guidance and counseling data, and in the guidance data it shows that kids don't even know that the school offers AP classes, or the data shows that 80% of our kids are getting suspended for fighting, then we know why kids maybe aren't making that choice, and we can design our activities based on that knowledge. So to review, we're still going to look at achievement data, student choice data, and guidance and counseling data. But we've learned in the past years how that data relates to each other. The achievement data is coming from the school improvement plan, and that's ultimately what we want to do. The student choice data is coming from the survey, and that helps us know what choices kids are making that are going to support the academic goals or not support the academic goals. And then the guidance and counseling data, which is also coming from the survey, that's going to help us understand why kids aren't making these choices. So everything's still there in the way we did this 4 or 5 years ago, but we've learned the relationship between these different types of data. Okay, so as we work through the process, the first thing we're going to do is get ready, and that's what you've been doing. And so you updated your steering team, you've collected data last spring, you've done self-studies, you've put together your advisory council. Then today we're talking about redoing the vision. It may be that your vision statement is fine just the way it is. You may find that though that it's not lofty enough, or when you did this the first time there wasn't the emphasis on STEM that there is now, and so now you really want to pull STEM into your dream. So we'll spend today in your first meeting with your advisory council updating your vision statement. Then we're going to look at the student choice goals. What are the choices that you want kids to make while they're in your building? And there will be a lot of them, 70 or 80. So next month we'll look at that, your student choices. Then we're going to look at expanding your resources. And once we know exactly for next year how much time and energy you have, then we'll figure out, okay, how many priority goals can we have? How many student choices can we really focus on big time next year? And then we'll narrow that down and figure out exactly which choices you want kids to make. So for some schools, if they don't have a lot of resources, especially time, they may come up with just one priority goal that they're going to work on, one student choice that they really want to help every kid in the building make. For another school, if there's a lot of time and resources, they may decide they want to really focus on 3 or 4 priority goals that every student in the building is going to make. So once we know what the priority goals are, then we look at the guidance and counseling data to tell us why aren't kids making that choice. Once we know why kids aren't making the choice, then we can come into activities. If it's that they don't have the knowledge, then we're going to tweak the guidance program. If it's because there's so many personal or social things that are getting in the way, then we're going to tweak our counseling program. So we'll be looking at activities based on the lessons we learned from the root cause analysis. And then finally, after all of our meetings with our advisory council, then we'll do the last part of the preparation. So we'll look at preparing the guidance lessons and the program calendar for the coming year and the annual budget for the coming year. So that's the process in a nutshell. And then what I'd like to do is just real quickly walk through this first meeting that you're going to have with your advisory council. So let me open up that presentation. Oops. And here it is. Okay, so I'm in front of my advisory council, and I've welcomed everybody to our meeting. I haven't met with them for quite a while, so we're going to start out with some introductions, and you'll have everybody introduce themselves. Also, we suggest that you ask people to talk about the unique perspective that they bring to the table. Are they a third grade parent, or do they have the perspective of the Hispanic community? So we're asking them to introduce themselves, to talk about their perspective. And then we're doing a review of the big picture. So we're telling people, reminding people 3 years ago or 4 or 5, edit the slide as you need to, but several years ago, our school engaged in the Redesigning School Counseling process. And this year, what we want to do is review new student data and update our school counseling program as needed. So we're going to update 5 different segments throughout the year. So we're telling your advisory council, this first meeting we're going to update the vision statement. Then at the next meeting we're going to update goals, and then we're going to create priority goals. Then we're going to look at root causes, what's getting in the way of us reaching those goals. It could be lack of knowledge or personal social issues or lack of opportunities. And then at our last meeting, we'll talk about, okay, what activities are we going to put in place to get kids the knowledge they need or the opportunities that they need or to help overcome personal social issues. So 5 meetings with our advisory council this year, and there's the focus of each of them. So then also as a reminder, when we went through this process before, we applied for the Indiana Gold Star School Counseling Award from the Department of Ed. And then if you also applied for ASCA, you'd want to share that with them as well. And again, you'll edit this slide, take out ASCA if you just did Gold Star but not the ASCA Ramp Award. So, and it's our plan, you're sharing with your council, it's our plan to submit our updated portfolio to renew that award. Okay, very quickly, let's review the terminology. I won't go through this with you again, but we're reminding people of all the words and common management programs. We're defining non-program, common non-program activities. We're going through the beliefs, and again, I won't go through this again because we just did it. And then, okay, so this year we are completing this process, and the first part we've already done. We've updated our advisory council, and you guys, you're talking to your council, you're saying you guys are here, so we've got all this first part done, and now it's, we're ready for our first meeting. And so today we're talking about the vision, and then we're reminding them in September we'll come back and talk about goals. In October we'll talk about expanding our resources and setting our priority goals. In November we'll talk about what's getting in the way or the root cause analysis. And then in December we'll talk about our activities. And then second semester the school counselors will prepare to implement our revised program based on all the decisions and the input that the council has provided. Okay, so this is just a slide where you can drop in the dates. So you would put in the dates of the your vision council meeting and then goals and all 5 meetings. So then people can jot them down and get them on their calendars so that you get on their calendar hopefully before anybody else does. Okay, so this meeting is to talk about visioning. And let's just review a little bit. So you're sharing with your council what is a vision. It's a detailed picture of what things will be like. All of our dreams came true. It's not based in reality. It describes in detail our community values, our ideal adult practices, ideal student choices, and the ideal student achievement. So why vision? The process of visioning helps us to raise expectations, create a common direction, focus on the future, focus on kids. So you're just kind of going through, why are we visioning? It does these things. So there's a couple things that we want to make sure that your council has thought about before you start the visioning process. Without thinking about these things, the vision, in our experience, doesn't tend to be lofty enough. So we really want folks to think about what do all kids need, specifically in a global economy. So we want the council to think about, what academic rigor exactly do our kids need to work in our global economy today? So one of the things that we want to point out is that low skill and low wage jobs are not staying in our country. They're going to other countries where the income, the wage is about less than $1 an hour. So we're not keeping those jobs in our country, a lot of them. Also, improvements in transportation and communication make it possible to move these low-skill jobs like manufacturing to other countries. So yes, there will still be retail sales and low-skill, low-wage jobs in our communities, but we're really wanting to think about, are we preparing our students for low-skill jobs, or do we want to think about high-skill jobs? Well, if we look at high-skill jobs, so high-skill, high-wage jobs, they're really going to impact our students' standard of living. Those jobs are now also going to other countries that have lower wages, countries like China and India. And what's happening is that the standardization of software and lower communications costs make it possible to move high-skill engineering jobs, technology jobs to other countries. So, because also, because science and technology education is so robust in other countries, that's making it desirable for U.S. companies to hire employees from outside of the United States. So as we're designing our dream and our vision for our students, this is something we want to think about. If we want to keep those jobs in our community, the high skill, high wage jobs in our community, what does our dream need to be? What do we need to be doing as a community to make sure that our students are educated especially in science and technology? So another thing to think about in terms of high skill jobs, a lot of CEOs who work in technology companies are saying things like these two quotes: "Everything you can send down a wire is up for grabs." So here's a technology company in India that says, "Send us your work. We can do it at a fraction of the cost as you can do it in the United States." Hewlett-Packard, their CEO, "There is no job that is America's God-given right anymore. Everything's up for grabs because communications is so easy and because of the standardization of the technology." So how do we prepare young people, our students, for success in the global economy? Well, let's talk about what job ready means to employers. So in the academic skills, employers are looking for someone who has the ability to do informational reading, persuasive writing, oral presentations, data analysis, statistics, and applied math, not just being able to do worksheets, but able to take those math concepts and apply them to problem solving. So they're also looking for soft skills, someone that can work well with a team, somebody that's got a good work ethic. We hear that over and over from employers, that work ethic is so important. They feel like sometimes they can teach the academic skills if they can get someone in that's going to show up for work on time, that's going to stay in the job, have respect for authority. That work ethic is really important. And then they're also looking for people that are responsible, who come on time, are punctual, can manage time. So those soft skills are really important. And then finally, an interesting thing to kind of look at is habits of mind. They're looking for folks that can analyze, who can interpret, who can look at precision, problem solving, and reasoning. So these are skills that when we say job ready, we're looking at all three of these areas: academic skills, soft skills, and habits of mind. In terms of being college ready, we know that in the college admission folders, and when we say college, we're talking very broadly here, not only about four-year colleges, although this applies, is from the Sources organization that works with four-year colleges. But the same thing would hold true for apprenticeship programs, for two-year colleges, career colleges. In the admissions folder, the post-secondary institutions are looking at the application that the student fills out, the academic record, in two- and four-year colleges, standardized test scores, and apprenticeship programs. There's an entrance exam, recommendations, and then personal factor. How do students spend their free time? Are they involved in sports, community service, hobbies? So all of that is in the admissions folder. So as we're thinking about our vision of kids, in our vision, do we have students that are capable of providing these five things to an apprenticeship admission process, or a career college admissions representative, or a four-year college admissions rep? So something to think about as we're visioning. And then finally, in terms of the academics, what does that mean to a high school to be ready for post-secondary? Well, to be ready, according to Indiana definitions, to be ready would be to do the Core 40 with academic honors, or Core 40 with technical honors. But the academic courses would be 4 years of English, 4 years of science, 4 years of math, 4 years of social studies, 4 years of world languages. We're really looking at 4 years of all of the academic courses. Fine arts, ideally an APIB or dual credit course, so that we know that students have experience with college level work before they leave high school. And then specifically those on the right, those science courses and those math courses. So in our vision, what is our dream for all kids, for 100%? Do we have this dream for just 80% of the kids, or 60% of the kids, or or 95% of the kids? And if it is 95%, then who's in the 5% that we don't have this dream for? That we don't have the dream that they will be career and college ready. So something to think about before we get into this visioning. One other thing to look at is the benefits of post-secondary education. We know that the more education a student has after high school, the more job security they have. We know the more income they have. And in fact, the income difference over the average number of working years, 41 years for a student, would be about almost, approaching $1 million difference over their 41 years of working. So, something to think about. That's a benefit of, in our dreaming that all of the kids in our community continue their education after high school. We also know that high school dropouts and those with just a high school diploma, they actually earn more in communities that have a higher percentage of citizens with post-secondary credentials. So as a community, if we increase the percentage of citizens that have a post-secondary credential, we're also increasing the income level of our high school dropouts and people that just have a high school diploma. So very, very interesting data. Economic development. Increasing the percentage of students who hold a college credential allows our community to attract businesses that will provide those high-skill, high-wage jobs. We know that that's one thing that when businesses are expanding or looking for a place to have as their home, they're looking at what's the education level of the workforce. So that will allow our economic development folks to bring businesses and industries to our community that provide those high-skill, high-wage jobs. Additional benefits is if we can increase the percentage of our students that have a post-secondary credential, we would also be decreasing the percentage of folks that smoke. We'd be increasing the percentage of our community that exercises. People that have a post-secondary credential tend to spend more time on education with their children. They volunteer twice as often and they vote more. So there's lots of benefits for increasing the percentage of students or in adults who have a post-secondary credential. So as we dream, these are things, that are they included in our dream? Are we dreaming high achievement for all? Are we dreaming post-secondary for all? Are we dreaming, just how are we incorporating this information into our dreams? Okay, so with that background then, now we're actually going to do the work with your council to revision. So very easy. Here are the 4 questions. In top left quadrant, what do we believe all students deserve? And then the next question is, in our ideal school and community, what adult behaviors and attitudes are practiced? And then the bottom left, what choices are students making? And then as a result of all that, what's the ideal percentage of students who succeed in various achievement tests? Okay, so unlike when you did this the first time, we now have a vision statement. So you would pass out a copy of your vision statement, and then we're just asking the folks to read each section. So in the first section, all students deserve. Are there things there that we should leave out? We no longer think kids deserve that. And then are there things that we add that we now think that all students deserve to maybe know about AP courses? We didn't have that in there last time, but now we understand how important that is, or dual credit courses. So we're just saying, okay, look at it. What are you going to omit? What doesn't need to be in there anymore? Or what are we going to add? So that's question 1. Same thing with adult practices. We're reading that part. What do we leave out? What do we add? Same thing with student choices. And then same thing with the ideal achievement data. Okay, so we're just kind of tweaking each section. Won't be nearly as difficult of a discussion as it was the first time because we're not starting with a blank piece of paper. Okay, so then we're telling folks that the steering team will use your input to create the updated vision statement. And thank you for coming. And I might put on this screen also, you might want to edit the screen to include the date of your next meeting. Okay, so that's a quick walkthrough of that meeting. And then let's go back to a couple more things as we wind down this video. Okay, so when you're having your meeting, timing-wise, we find that it takes about 5 minutes to do the introductions. It takes about 40 minutes to do the review of all the terminology and kind of getting everybody back up to speed. We suggest that you put a break in there, and then the visioning part, the revisioning part, would take about 15 minutes on each section. So that's a 2-hour meeting. We find that if you rush this, you'll get rushed work. It won't be as high quality work. So I really would suggest that you try to find a 2-hour segment. You could also break this into 2 meetings. So do the welcome and introductions and the review in one meeting, and then come back later and do the visioning. So something to think about. We've also had schools that have sent out information on the on the Redesigning School Counseling review. We've had some schools that have sent that out just like as an attachment, the PowerPoint attachment, and asked people to look at that before they come to your meeting, and then just do the second half. So yeah, so that's something for your steering team to think about. Can you get the 2 hours? That would be wonderful. But if not, how do you get that review done before you go into the vision discussion? Okay, so this month's submissions, one is the vision statement, and I want to just kind of talk through the rubric items for when you write that this month, and you will be submitting it for review this month. And again, we'll send you an email in the next few days, at most next couple of weeks, to explain to you how to do this. So the rubric items, the reviewer will be seeing, does the first paragraph contain the core convictions? The second paragraph describe the ideal adults. Third paragraph describes the ideal students. Fourth paragraph describes the ideal student achievement data. Is all student achievement data expressed as a percentage of students who are reaching a specific standard? And you kind of have to do that in our system, so that's not going to be an issue. Then here are some other items that are required for both the Indiana Gold Star and the Ask a Ramp Award. Does the vision address the student's developmental needs? So the reviewer is going to look somewhere in there about the developmental needs of students. So probably in your paragraph about the adult practices, somewhere in there you're going to describe how the adults are addressing students' developmental needs. Do the adult practices focus primarily on prevention or the guidance curriculum? So again, in your description of the adult activities, you'll be wanting to say that, I would just say that the program focuses primarily on prevention, and then I'd explain how you do that by providing a guidance curriculum. The counselors serve as an advocate for every student. Again, in the adult section, best practices section, you're going to describe how the adults are advocates for every student. The program uses data. Again, in the adult section, you're going to explain how you gave the counselors give the Learn More survey to collect data, and that the counselors will use that data to design the program. Also, that the program evaluates the counseling program. The counselors evaluate the counseling program annually, and that the counselors follow the ASCA ethical standards. So, the most logical place to put this information is in your description of the ideal adult practices, and I would use these words so it makes it very easy for the reviewer to find it. I would just say, counselors serve as an advocate for every student by, and then describe what the counselors are doing. Okay. Then, also this month, you'll be submitting a mission statement. That is already in the system. So you just need to open it up and review it, make sure it's exactly what you want it to be. So the school counseling mission statement includes the purpose of school counseling. It includes the tasks of school counseling. It includes the principles, and principles is spelled wrong, P-L-E-S, of school counseling, and that not only is there a school counseling mission statement present, but also the school mission statement is present and the district mission statement is present. This is a new requirement that came in maybe 3 years ago, so this may be new for you. ASCA especially wants to make sure that the school counseling mission statement is aligned with the schools in the district's mission statement, so they're asking you for all three of those. Okay. Then in the advisory council minutes, same as we've always done, the minutes contain the names of those present. They present a summary of activities and the discussion, and then they also contain references to specific people. We find that that's really important to say, you know, Jane Doe added to the conversation that if a few people can see where different folks were heard, and not only heard, but their comments were so valued that they got into the minutes, it tends to get people to discuss more and also to come back to your next meeting. Okay, so let's look at the online system and then we'll wrap. So in the online system, I'm going to scroll down. I'm on the process page, so I got to that by clicking process over here on the left. Then I'm going to scroll down to August, and on this page, the webcast that we're recording right now, it'll be archived here. So if you want to come back later and watch this, you can just click there and you'll be able to see it. Then conducting Advisory Council Meeting 1, if I click here on download, that's going to open up the manual, and you can see that here is Advisory Council Meeting 1. Here's cover page, the presentation that I just walked through, a template where you can create your Advisory Council roster. Our document elements of high achieving schools, that tends to help people think out of the box too. Some schools like to send this out before their meeting again to get folks that think very lofty. And then a template where you can enter in your meeting dates. And then tools, here's how to prep for this meeting. Here's tips for the facilitator. Here is, if you're reconvening still your advisory council, here's some tips for who to put on your advisory council. And then here's a poster that you could blow up to take notes on as the people are brainstorming on different parts of the vision. Here's a sample vision statement if you want to see one, and then after your meeting, here are the tasks to follow. So everything you need for that first meeting is here. I got to this through the Process tab, but don't forget also that you can just click right up here in the Manual tab too, and it would also take you to this. So I'm just going to go back to the Process tab. So enter your program's vision statement. When I click on that, my vision statement that I entered in already will be there. So we believe that all students deserve, that prompt is there, and then you would just continue to be surrounded by a culture where adults, and then you just go in and edit this. So if you like your vision statement that you had before, you don't have to make any changes at all. So that's entering the vision. And then the mission statements, if I go to the enter on that one, here's just where you'd enter your school counseling mission statement, and then your school's mission statement, and then your district's mission statement. So just enter those. And then and also on the mission statements, we have a tool here. This is a Word doc that teaches you how to create a mission statement, and it actually gives you a sample of one. So for school counseling. So you could take a look at that if you want some ideas. Then in entering minutes for meeting 1, I'm going to click there, and I just put in the date, who's writing the minutes, and then just enter your minutes. Remember, if you're making a list of things, use a dash instead of some character. Our online system recognizes dashes for lists. And it's also possible to create this. I like to create it in a Word doc, and then when I get it all ready, I copy and paste it into the website. So, and then of course make sure you hit save. And then finally the rubric items. If you click that, that opens up the rubric page, and this is the rubric for all of your work this year. But you can see it takes you right to the program vision statement, and then the and all of the requirements for that, and then the mission statement. I always think it's good before you submit work that you check this rubric and kind of grade your own work. Saves you a lot of time and us time if there's revisions to do. So in the near future, we will send you information about how to submit. And so in August, you'll be submitting your vision statement and your mission statement. And then by the end of September, you'll be submitting your goals. So there'll be something to submit every month, and then we'll give you feedback. We'd like you to have the work submitted and approved prior to the next webinar. So hopefully prior to our September webinar, you'll get that vision statement in and let us look at it and give you a thumbs up before we go on. This will also allow our staff to identify schools that are getting behind and to give you little friendly reminders, and also to see if we can help. If you're stuck for some reason, that we can help you think through, or whatever. So okay, so I think that's it. Let me go back and see if there's anything we've missed, and I don't think so. No. So thanks so much for participating. Again, look for an email from us that will announce who the person is that will be providing the tech support for RSC this year, and instructions for how to submit that vision statement for our review and how you're going to get feedback. So that'll be coming in the next couple of weeks. You don't have to wait for that at all. You could have your advisory council meeting tomorrow. And then when you get the instructions about how to submit the vision, you'll just do that. So okay, so that's it. And again, don't forget that you make a difference in the lives of young people. So we'll talk with everybody next month, and next month will be a discussion. We'll ask participants to talk about how the first advisory council meeting went. And to share with us lessons learned or any glitches that you ran into, so that we can all brainstorm together and troubleshoot together. Okay, thank you so much.